You all know how much I adore the original Moana. So of course I'm giving you an early review for the sequel, wearing my Cody Rhodes t-shirt no less. This one's for you, Dwayne. What can I say except you're welcome? My name is Ren, and this is my sort of musical review of Moana 2. Welcome back, film family. Thank you for joining me to review a film that for most of the past 8 years, I never thought we would be seeing it, but ever since its official announcement, it has been one of my most anticipated of the year. And we're taken back to the island of Motunui, where after receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, Moana journeys alongside Maui and her new crew to the far reaches of Oceania and into dangerous, long-lost waters for an adventure unlike anything she's ever faced. And like I said at the start of this video, I adore the original Moana. It is one of my top 10 Disney movies of all time. To this day, I find it to be one of the most gorgeous animated films ever made, and Moana 2 follows that up. This is a gorgeous looking film where every frame is a beautiful collection of textures, depth, visual splendor. There is not a single shot in this film that does not look as good as the original, if not better. It is 1 hour and 40 minutes of pure cinematic bliss. The colors, the lighting, the character textures, everything about this film looks meticulously made and detailed to the very finest point, which is strange because this was originally going to be a TV show, which I was so disappointed by. I want to see more Moana adventures on the big screen, and this film feels entirely cinematic. You can see the skeleton of a story that would have been made for TV, but you can also see the effort and the improvements to make it a cinematic experience. And in many ways, it has a lot of elements from the original Moana. Not that it's doing a rehash or just repeating the same thing, but like the original Moana, there are a lot of elements in here that you can accuse the film of celebrating a lot of Disney tropes. And like the original Moana, I guess your mileage will vary depending on what Disney tropes usually work for you, what Disney tropes usually detract from a film for you. There's a lot of familiarity in this film, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Just like there was a lot of familiarity in the original Moana. I'll get straight to the point. I had a wonderful time with Moana 2. I was enthralled by the action set pieces. The jokes all hit, with Maui being hilarious and Hey Hey with his hijinks. I was moved by the character journeys. It offers everything that made me fall in love with the original, but in its own way. And right now you're probably thinking, Ren, we get it. You adore the original Moana, but how does the sequel compare? Does it reach those glorious heights? Not to me. Only because the original is such lightning in a bottle, timeless perfection that you can't replicate. Disney found a natural and worthy continuation to Moana's story that justifies bringing us back into this world by expanding its scope through a beautiful story of community, where Moana and Maui have their roles reversed, and it's an epic adventure filled with action and with so much mythology to it. It feels like a fully fleshed out world that expands on the scope that was already pretty grand in the original. It just feels so much more massive in this sequel. And musically, while the songs in general are nowhere near as good as Lin-Manuel Miranda's work in the original, they're all fun, catchy, boppy tunes, apart from one that we'll get to later in this video. But even musically, the film does something very interesting, particularly with Moana, once again powerfully played by Auli'i Cravalho. I don't know how she hasn't gotten more work outside of Moana in the past 8 years. She once again gives an incredible performance that has all the range of emotions just in her voice, while the gorgeous, flawless animation captures that vulnerability and that emotionality. But when it comes to the music, again, specifically for Moana, there's a new song in here called Beyond, and it comes at the beginning of the film. This is what you usually call the I Want song in the musical, but in Moana 2, they slightly tweak that song to just be the I Need song. And that was refreshing. It probably won't hit anyone else this powerfully, this well, but to me, it really worked to frame the entire film that followed in a whole new light. Maui is just as fantastic. The Rock is just bringing all his charm and charisma to the screen, even though he's never literally on screen. And while Maui this take quite a while to get inserted into the story in this sequel, I almost didn't miss him. Of course, I literally do miss him because he's Maui. He's got that boisterous personality. He's played by The Rock. You want to see this guy, and you want to see this guy interact with Moana. But Moana now is such a fully fledged character, having gone through that journey of the first film. She fills so many more boxes as a leader, as a Tao Tai in this film, and she's joined by more characters this time around. We have a farmer, we have a guy who basically tells story with the paintings, and we have essentially an engineer. And what I will say is that all these characters have their distinct charm and personalities. They do feel underdeveloped for most of the film, but eventually they all have these little moments. They all get their own little beats in the story to, number one, justify their presence, but also give them something to grow with along this journey. It's not as much as they could have done. For most of the film, I was just questioning why these disposable characters were in here, but the film rewards and earns their presence. But of course, this is the Moana and Maui show, and these two are together. You're not looking at anyone else, you're not thinking of anyone else. At one point during Maui's song in this film, which is nowhere near as good as You're Welcome, he rips out a fantastic sax solo where the seashell he's playing sax with, you heard me right, breathes fire. You either think that's awesome or I do not want to be friends with you. It builds to a gigantic climax that feels grand and epic, and the film earns that through the characters and through the now role reversal between Moana and Maui, but the film is lacking a distinct and memorable villain. There is a powerful force that is a threat in this film, but there is just no personality or distinct characteristics to them. As well as the song by Matangi, I believe that's the name of this goddess who is made of bats and creates a lot of cool imagery. Her song has a lot of cool imagery, but it is once again a villain song that is the weakest part of the film. And this song, while not bad, it's a song that loses the distinct phonetic characteristics that make it a Polynesian kind of music, and it loses that cultural identity in that one song. And that is a shame because so much of what is great about Moana 2 is just on par with the original, and then you have these little tweaks where this villain, where this song, this feels, these were the leftovers from when they had the original TV show draft. We have to discuss the mid-credit scene in Moana 2. I'm obviously not spoiling anything, but it is something worth waiting for, and it's equal parts awesome, but also hilarious. On one hand, great, they're teasing doing more with Moana, bringing us back to this world more times and continue to expand on this mythology. On the other hand, I couldn't help but chuckle because, oh my god, it's all the weakest parts of both these movies assembled in one place. So you'll know what I mean when you see Moana 2? Are you going to love Moana 2 if you didn't love the first Moana? It's really tough to say. I think Moana 2 has more of the same mistakes that were just peeking through the curtain in the original. Again, those little Disney tropes where something bad happens and you know exactly the beat that is coming next, and how everything comes together is just beautiful. It's evocative, and I was swelling up in the end. There's a moment in this film that I actually think they should have milked quite a bit more. I don't think they got enough of that moment for what the story does up until that point. It is a Disney sequel I never thought I'd see, and I'm so glad we did see it. I'm so happy they changed their minds and tweaked it to make it a cinematic event. And it's once again an epic adventure filled with memorable and emotional highlights. But those are only my thoughts on Moana 2. It's time for you to start the conversation about it in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the original Moana. How excited are you for the sequel? Do you want to see more Moana movies on the big screen? Anything and everything down there. If you want to check out more reviews of mine, they're right on this playlist right here. Or if you just want to stick around to talk more movies and TV with me, this is the place to be. Consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. Moana 2 is simply one of the most breathtakingly beautiful films I've ever seen. With a grander scope than the original, it journeys beyond to expand on its themes and mythos with more great songs, more Moana and Maui in equal parts heart and hilarity in a timeless voyage that's as epic as it is compelling. I'm giving Moana 2 a B. Thank you for watching, Film Family. Remember to start the conversation about Moana 2 in the comments below. If Moana 3 comes out, what subtitle would you give it? Anything and everything down there. I cannot wait to talk about Moana and Moana 2 with you in the comments, and I'll be back very soon in more reviews. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.